If you're an Android user and you need an app for your podcasts, you should check out the Podcast Republic app. You don't have to take my word for it. There are thousands of positive reviews on the Google Play Store, so check it out for yourself. It's really simple to use. You favorite your favorite shows, they download when they're uploaded, and you don't have to worry about anything. As we said before, set it and forget it. Check it out on the Google Play Store, the Podcast Republic app. I want to take a quick second to mention the Patreon. I know it's perhaps annoying and some of you are fast forwarding through this, but that's fine. We are, I think, 2 people away, assuming that at least one of them was on the $5 level, from everyone getting a bonus commentary track. And then we are currently just under halfway to where we will do a bonus episode every single month. So thank you to everybody who's on the team right now. And thank you to anybody who's about to sign up. We've had a big flurry between the end of the year and now, so I want to make sure I keep mentioning it so folks are aware of it.
Spend that Christmas money. Holiday
exactly.
Money,
so
you can get Hanukkah money.
Yeah. You get money for anything at the end of the year. Maybe it's just a bonus. But I don't know that we have done this before, so I just want to take a quick second and thank all of those people. I think that we have done this, but just in case we haven't, I was concerned that we didn't. So I just want to make sure that all these folks have been thanked by name on air. So I'm just going to read off these first names. I hope that's okay with everybody. I figured first names was anonymous enough. So if you are the person who is hearing this and this is your name, but you're not on the Patreon, this is not for you. This is only for the person who's hearing this and is a Patreon supporter. So big, huge thank you to Barbara, Damien, Fiona, Katrina, Lynn, Michelle, Morgan, Randell, Roger, Sarah, Shane, Thomas, and boy, I hope I don't screw this up, Masakazu. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. It really means a lot to us. It has made us able to make this podcast better and we crossed things off our bucket list. We both have new microphone setups. Our hosting is not making me anxious anymore. It's made everything so much easier and better for us. And we're really grateful to all of you who have supported us and all of you who do in the future. So just want to take a second to say thank you. It's a new year. And it's the time that you think about those things. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody. If you haven't signed up yet, go check it out. Patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. Everybody who signs up gets a sticker, and you also get some other great perks. So check it out and get a bunch of bonus episodes and our monthly newsletter and all this fun stuff. So patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Lano, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers. And with me, as always, is my tag team partner, the kind of man who would be utterly unable to fix his broken bicycle, the Macho Man.
Andrew Lano. Probably, yeah. I feel like I could like tighten or loosen a screw, like a bolt, but that's the extent of it.
To be fair, most people are unable to fix the bicycle.
If that chain breaks, I got nothing.
That James Spader is facing this movie. We're doing Tuff Turf, which I believe turns 40?
No, it came out in
35? 85, 35 years. I was like, is this an 80 movie? No, this is a firmly 80s movie. You can tell from the
almost
everything.
Parody, so.
Yes. Anyway, we watched Tuff Turf, so you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your psychotic teenage gang. Something's gotta be done about your psychotic teenage gang.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott.
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I was curious about this because the trailer was kind of oddball, and
what
it has
was the trailer
very
like? Was the trailer like Screwball when Morgan goes to a new school? Was it like that?
It's a little more about the like violence part than that.
Well, that's good at least.
So it's not screwball comedy. That's not what I was expecting, but it's kind of an odd movie. This one,
you don't say.
Well, here's the thing that I think in watching it. I think there's a really good movie in here.
Yeah, because this movie is almost 2 hours long, and about 50 minutes of that is just B-roll or music sequences.
Yes. And so it's like, if it got tightened up, it would be much more interesting. But I do want to read, I found this in, doing some research while watching the movie. The person who wrote this movie is kind of an interesting story.
Oh, yeah?
This is a gossip column, which was a thing that was in real newspapers in the LA Times, I believe. It says that people may have noticed that screenwriter Jet Rink sounds suspiciously like James Dean's character in the film Giant, Jet Rink. Rink, it turns out, is the legally adopted name of one Ina May, a Northern California writer who found it difficult to open doors in Hollywood with her slightly southern and very feminine name. Quote, "A friend told me it's all in the name and you can't let them know you're a woman," she recalls. May chose Rink because her mother had always teased her about being a female James Dean and placed it on a recently rejected screenplay. She resubmitted that script to the same film company and quickly had her first sale. Tuff Turf, about a rich New York kid transplanted to the mean streets of Los Angeles, is Rink's first script. The New World cheapie was written in 3.5 weeks and filmed in 4, says Rink, who regards the filming as something of a miracle. Shooting unfortunately coincided with the Olympics when city filming was prohibited, which explains why the turf in the title is represented on screen by distinctly unseedy Reseda, which is interesting because I feel like when you live in a place, it's very obvious to you when something isn't filmed there.
I was like, that seems like LA. That seems like dirty LA.
Yeah, exactly. This read like grudgy LA to me. The former Ina May, meanwhile, has completed a, quote, Capra-esque musical called The Magic Man for Walt Disney Pictures and reports that Jet Rink's career is flourishing, which is a real bummer because this was the only thing she ever, I think, got credit on.
Wait, I thought you said her career was... So wait, she's not...
She had sold a second script and then it never went and she disappeared off the face of the earth.
I wonder if Magic Man is like... became something else for Disney on like Wonderful World of Disney.
I looked and couldn't find anything. Like, if it did, she didn't get credit for it. She also she was a technical advisor on the film Little Witches in 1996.
Why does that title sound so familiar? Does it look...
I would be shocked if you knew this. Does it look like... Zelda Rubinstein is in it, but that's about it.
Oh, wait a minute. Nope, that's Teen Witch. I was like, Zelda Rubinstein in a movie about witches. Nope, that was Teen Witch.
Yes, you are thinking of Teen Witch. And Clea Duvall is also in it, but it looks like a small part. I don't know.
I might know this movie.
A group of girls at a Catholic boarding school get mixed up in the occult.
I'll have to watch a trailer when we're done.
Anyway, so I thought it was really interesting. Like they had like this person, she had sold and made this movie. She sold a second script and then she just disappeared from the face of the earth, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, because I think this movie has good bones.
Okay, yeah, I think the story has something, but the actual writing leaves some to be desired.
Oh, for sure. But I think like
this movie is both I think there's glimmers of talent in and this. Also not enough information.
Right. There's a very young James Spader and a very young Robert Downey Jr. who might be the first James Spader movie.
It's his first title bill, like big billing.
Okay.
And a young Kim Richards for everyone who watches Bravo.
Yes, Real Housewife extraordinaire, Kim Richards.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a sad one. She was the sad one because
her husband got murdered while on the phone with her.
Yeah, no, but that was like that was before
horrifying.
The show. I mean, like her.
Yes,
because she was a child star. She was in Escape to Witch Mountain and all this stuff, and then she's Escape to Witch Mountain girl. And her sister Kyle played Lindsay Wallace in Halloween. And is coming back for Halloween Kills, but they only ever talked about the fact that Kim was a child star on the show. And I was like, Kyle was in the more successful thing. Like, Kyle's movie comes out every year.
But you don't want to be like the younger sister of the more talented Kyle.
I mean, they Richards. Did that anyways, that Kyle was the clearly more successful put together one. Like, she stole Kim's house. Well, I'm not going to get into it, but,
you all couldn't see it, obviously, but there was like a thought balloon like smoked out of his head and sat above it that was like, how much of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills am I going to admit in public to having known about?
Well, no.
Nope, none. And then he waved the balloon away.
Well, no, my friend uses the line, I stole Kim's house and I do it again all the time as like a joke about Kyle. So I know vaguely that it happened.
She was on the show.
They were both
Kyle
cast
Richards.
members.
I see. She was. Kyle Richards was like in the opening.
Yeah,
credits.
she had a turnaround and catchphrase.
Okay. Okay.
But
she stole her house.
I don't know specifics.
Okay.
I wish I knew specifics.
I hope that it is. I mean, no, it's probably much more interesting if it's not this. But I hope it's like they both put bids in on the same property and not like I invoked squatters' rights on my sister.
She might have kicked her out of her house. I don't know. With Kim Richards, you never know. But on the show, it was always she was tragic because she clearly had a drug and drinking problem, which Andy Cohen was like, "Oh, this is gonna give me money," and so rather than get her help, it was stick a camera in her face and prompt other cast members to like make drug jokes. Like when Kim was having a mental breakdown in a bathroom once, this other cast member was like, "I bet she's just doing cocaine in the bathroom, ha ha ha." And then
wait, so he's the producer of those programs?
That's why he's
the guy who hosts that Watch What Happens
because he
show?
hosts all of the reunions.
Well, okay, all right. We have to talk about something else. We are going to have to pull a ripcord on this bad boy momentarily, but I just always wondered what the hell that guy was from, and I was like, he kind of appeared out of nowhere, like this older gay black gentleman who's become like white. A thing. No. I'm saying much like this other man who I think his name is Billy.
Billy Eichner?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry, Billy Porter.
Yes, where I'm like, suddenly this man is on like the talk shows and he's hosting things. I've never heard of him before, and I don't know who he is, but he's just like suddenly there. And I was like, all right, well, he must be from something. His big
breakout thing was Pose on FX, the show about 80s ball scene and black culture. He plays the like announcer of the balls, who's like larger than life and fabulous.
This is not an indication of anything other than the fact that I am an unaware person. Do not understand anything of what you're talking about. I didn't know that was a show. I'm vaguely aware of FX. But anyway, it just doesn't come into my radar, probably because I only subscribe to Hulu or whatever it is. But I just like suddenly I saw this man everywhere and I was like, who is this guy? And I have no idea who he is. So I assumed it was the same for the Watch What Happens guy, that I was like, he must have some fame from something that I'm just completely unaware of. Well, and now Andy I know Cohen him as the Watch What Happens guy.
He created the Housewives and then was like, I'm going to put myself in the reunions.
Makes sense. I mean, if he's the producer, it's a logical place for him to be. So anyway, we have to stop talking about this man, Andy Cohen. It is completely irrelevant to the topic at hand.
But Kim Richards. So yes, she's in this movie.
No, Kim Richards we can talk about all day. Andy Cohen and Billy Porter, too far afield.
Yeah, she was always like the kind of sad, tragic one on the show. And then when she started to get sober, like they clearly started editing her to be the boring character. And I was like, we can't celebrate this woman's sobriety or like her.
Yeah, that sucks.
Really, really valiant attempts at sobriety.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, and she's also Paris Hilton's aunt.
Oh wow, that's like all the reality stars all mushed together.
Paris and Nikki's mom is Kim and Kyle's half sister, so they're their aunts.
It's just reality show royalty.
Yeah,
here.
Basically.
Anyway, we should talk about the movie Tuff Turf.
Well, I mean, the movie gave us opened with 3 effing minutes of biking montage.
3 and a half.
You know what? I think we can bullshit at the top of this.
210 full seconds of bicycle montage. And then we cut to a businessman waiting for a bus who is, I don't know if you recognize him, the cop from Death Spa who gets killed by the fish.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yes, he is the cop from Death Spa who got murdered by a fish.
And he is super gross in this movie.
Yeah, he's standing at a bus stop, and the dialogue tells us that his car is in the shop, and it's very obviously a scam. They send Kim Richards in dressed in a very high-cut dress.
You can say she's dressed like Cyndi Lauper and Madonna had a baby. You can just say it, because that's what she's dressed like.
Well, it's not quite like this person is an escort. It's more just like kind of sexy, I think, is what I get from it. But she walks up to this guy and she starts talking to him. And it's so obviously that they think he's a mark. They get him to take his money out to give her change for a 5. And then 5 dudes swarm this guy to steal his money and beat him up. James Spader rolls in on his bicycle and like just wreaks mischievous havoc. The tone is all off here.
But also, like I said before, this movie is too long, but also filled with nothing. So
yes,
when this happened, I was like, oh, is it? Obviously, this is James Spader because we saw him in he's the biker from the montage. I was kind of thinking...
And by biker, we mean bicycle.
I always do that, where I say biker, but I mean bicyclist, not motorcyclist.
Right. Right. I just want to be clear. I think the term is fine for either. I just want people to know this is not like James Dean rolling in on some Harley. It's like a doofus on a bicycle.
So my brain went, oh, James Spader must be, the leader of the rival gang or something. This is a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
he's in a leather jacket.
He's in a leather jacket. He's cool. He grabs the beer from one gang member and shakes it up as he rides past. So he sprays them all to diffuse this mugging, and then just bikes away. And I was like, wait a minute. So I was like, oh, cool. And then they're like, you're new in town. Try and make a good first impression. And I was just so confused as to why he did that.
Right. It seemed like he was out for a joyride on his bike and then suddenly saw a mugging going down, thought, oh, I should get involved in this. And he never slows down. No. He sprays the beer. One guy has a car antenna that he snapped off a car and he whips Spader with it and it cuts his jacket. And he just never stops riding. And in the commotion, the man who's being mugged runs away. Mm-hmm. And then the one guy's like, "Oh, did you get his wallet?" And we don't know the answer, so we don't know if he did indeed report the crime or not
in this movie.
And then, like you said, smash cut to the following day, and it's the parents. The dad, by the way, did you recognize him? The wake up juice bartender from Back to the Future 3.
Oh, oh wow,
yeah,
okay,
and also 1,000 other projects. Yeah. He's like a big time. Small part.
There was a moment where I thought James Spader was going to break the fourth wall like Ferris Bueller. When we see him he's in his bed, all curled up, just staring down the barrel of the camera, and I just thought...
Yeah, it's really unnerving.
I just thought, please don't start... I don't want this to be a Ferris Bueller with a gang. I just don't want that movie.
Yeah.
And instead, he dart shoots some cockroaches.
I thought they were flies.
Either way, he's...
Well, it's more impressive if it's a fly, that's all.
I guess.
That he has pinpoint accuracy,
which will not really show up later in the movie.
No,
the guns will, but his accuracy won't.
This scene, I feel, is an encapsulation of the overall issue with this movie in that the tone never lines up because we've got gang members mugging this guy, beating the snot out of him, stealing his money, and then we have James Spader with paint guns,
dart guns
on a bicycle.
I think it's darts.
No, I thought they were paintballs.
Oh, I thought they were darts. They're little baby darts, I thought.
Well, they're blue when they squish the bugs.
I thought those were feathers. I also watched it on YouTube, in my defense.
Okay. No, you should have watched the cut on Prime.
YouTube lets me watch it at 1.25 speed, which came in handy a lot.
Okay. I really feel like you're doing a disservice to the listeners of this show if you don't put yourself through the torture.
Yeah, because then I could throw it on 2x. When I was like, oh, we're just going to get 4 minutes of establishing shots again.
I feel like part of the draw of this program is that we hate the thing and that we have a thing to complain about. And I feel like if you're only watching half of it or 75% of it,
no, I can complain. It's just the same.
I'm just saying, I think tweet at Andrew and tweet at the show.
I don't really use Twitter.
Tweet at Dissect the 80s and lodge your complaints about Andrew not watching the full movie.
I think it's a valid
complaint. I would be upset if you watch 75%.
It's not 75%.
If you're watching it 1.25,
1.25 is not 75% of the movie.
It's a 25% reduction in the runtime.
I don't think it works out like that.
I mean, if you speed the movie up 25%,
is that what it is?
Yes.
No, because it only shaved off 15 minutes
of a 110-minute movie.
That's not 25%.
Well, you said you were jumping around different frame rates, so I'm sure it's not...
All I could picture was the director chomping on his cigar... The director of the studio head chomping on his cigar going, we paid for this B-roll, damn it, we're gonna use it!
Yeah, it feels like they desperately needed to get filler shots, but normally when that happens, the movie's roughly 84 minutes long. And here, it's the total opposite of that.
Yeah, I couldn't understand, because after he wakes up and goes to school, we get another, 2 minutes of school establishing shots.
Yes, and including this long bit with the security guard,
Pays off
the guy
nowhere.
from Die Hard. Oh yeah, I forgot to write down this gentleman's name, but he was in Die Hard 2 and also Fright Night as the detective in Fright Night. But it's this scene where he has a little tete-a-tete with this guy, and then
this really stern security guard was like, "You can't bike on the sidewalk."
I thought it was going to be the sort of like adversarial relationship that becomes a friend, and later he's helpful, which would have been nice at the end of this movie where there's a murder fight.
Yeah, I wrote murder fight too. I'm glad you wrote that.
Yeah, but no, none of that is relevant. This character's in this movie for
in
one
a Ferris
scene.
Bueller movie, this guy would have been the villain.
Right, and that's the tone issue this movie has. Is it wants to be Ferris Bueller, and it also wants to be like, what's that James Dean one? The Wild Ones.
I was going to say that alien car movie we watched a little while ago.
Sure, yeah, that's a good example of it too.
But the security guard just goes nowhere, and then they bring him back for half a second.
The Wild One is Brando, not James Dean, but it is the biker movie I was thinking of, where it's this
where he
outlaw
rolls up
culture
to the
sort of
train
thing.
station on the bike, right?
Probably.
It's where when Shia LaBeouf enters the stupid Indiana Jones.
Right, it would.
That.
Yes.
But yeah, they bring the security guard back an hour and a half later in the movie for half a second, and it doesn't do anything. I just couldn't figure out why they spent so much time with the security guard for him to go nowhere.
Okay, I lectured you, but I don't know what you're talking about. When does the security guard come back? I do not recall that at all.
It was literally half a second when RDJ gives him a new bike. He goes and bikes off to go find Kim Richards, and he goes past the security guard, who runs after him and goes, "Hey, stop that bike!" And that's the end of the scene.
I wonder if they filmed them both on the same day. I hope they filmed them both on the same day.
I hope not, because I hope this guy got 2 day rates.
That's fair. He probably would prefer that. Anyway, we go to school, and RDJ
looks like Alan Cumming in Cabaret.
Yeah, they're both very young and very pretty and very feminine looking, both of these guys.
And real delicate faces.
Yeah, very like pretty is the ideal word to describe them, and they're very porcelain doll-y. It's very unusual.
Robert Downey Jr. especially, like I said, he looks like Alan Cumming in Cabaret. He's just pale with dark eyes and kind of red lips. And it's funny how they both sound the same.
They do, and it's not great from a casting perspective when your two major characters sound a lot.
Well, no, I meant to today. I think they both sound the same today.
That is true. Yes,
because wasn't James Spader was Ultron, wasn't he? Okay.
Correct.
I was like, he was Ultron. He was the robot who wanted to destroy humanity.
Yes, and we've talked about Spader before on the show. I think he has an extremely creepy energy. Even here, where he's the protagonist and then the young heartthrob, I feel like he has a real
I think it's the
energy.
Least creepy I've seen him.
Fair, but still...
It's there, but it is the lowest level creep that I've seen.
Agreed. It's a light simmering creep instead of a full raging boil creep.
And this is where we learn the very confusing characterization of James Spader, that he's a smart kid who acts out, I think. It never clearly establishes what the hell his deal is.
His energy is very similar to the one we did for listener request month with Val Kilmer.
Oh, the smart computer thing. Smart guy? No.
Yes. It's not Smart Guy. Oh, Jesus. What is that movie called?
Boy Genius? Is there genius in the title?
Real Genius. Thank you. We got there. It's sort of that madcap. It's a very Ferris Bueller, Real Genius energy to this character, but then also he can fight and he has weapons and he's punching people.
The difference is that Real Genius and Ferris Bueller are cool. Like, I want to hang out with those two dudes. I mean, I don't want to hang out with Ferris Bueller. I don't. Because I feel like it would be insufferable to hang out with Ferris Bueller.
Do you think so?
Can you imagine? There's no normal day with Ferris. It's, hey, we're skipping school to go to an art museum, con our way into a restaurant, and break into a parade, among other things. Like, sometimes I just want a chill day, and I can't imagine Ferris has chill days.
We will get to this when we have the Ferris Bueller discussion, but it's interesting you say that, because I always assumed that even for Ferris, that was a special day.
It could be. We'll discuss it further when we do that movie, but surface level right now, that's what it feels like, that Ferris is always kind of on, and I just don't want to be on all the time.
That's a valid criticism. We will get to Ferris Bueller. It will likely be on the Patreon because that's going to be a doozy app.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, and I don't mean it to sound disparaging against James Spader. Why I care about his opinion versus Edward Bagley Jr., I don't know. But I don't want to sound disparaging against James Spader to say that I think I want to hang out with
because he has creep energy and you're afraid he'll come murder you.
No, that's the thing. I don't think he'd murder you. I think he would, like, put his fingers in your mouth while you're sleeping. Like, that's the kind...
I don't think that's better.
But that's... I would rather that than death.
I'll take the bullet, thank you.
I would rather that than death. But that's the kind of creep energy he gives. But I think it just... He didn't feel written in a sort of roguish manner. He felt written more in like... He's a bully or some kind of ruffian, but also was smart, and I just didn't it wasn't blended well.
I feel as if the desired trait for him is that he's got an Aladdin energy, and he doesn't have an Aladdin energy.
Yes. Well, also, so, spoiler alert, later in the movie, in the last 20 minutes, he sets up this Home Alone trap, and it would have been nice if in the beginning, in this moment where they're talking about his academic accomplishments or they're showing him in class, that they show him in I guess it would be a physics class if you're doing like The Incredible Machine or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It would have been nice to show him in a physics setting where you see that he is super smart. Or I guess I wanted more of a real genius energy where he's using his brain specifically to be kind of a rough rapscallion, as opposed to like, I'm smart, but also I'm kind of just an asshole. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. The other part that's wild about this, though, is Robert Downey Jr. has a conversation with this woman who I think disappears from the movie.
She gets in the Uber.
Okay. Hey, yeah, you're all done for the day. Where you want to go? Like, talks to this woman, says, give me your knife. She pulls it out of her bra, hands Robert Downey Jr. a switchblade, which he then has to frantically cover with a book to hide from the principal because Spader is hanging out waiting for the principal to come give him his, like, welcome to school spiel.
His Buffy Summers spiel.
Yeah, because RDJ knows that Spader's in trouble with this gang and I guess assumes he doesn't have a knife of his own. The whole gimmick is for RDJ to get this knife so that in a scene from now, he can do the flick thing of the switchblade and then be like, oh, by the way, I think you need this knife.
Yeah, it was a very weird moment because he almost stabs him in the back of the neck. It's almost Henry Bowers and his dad moment.
Yeah, no, it's really almost awful.
But it gets real brushed over so that we can talk about how RDJ's band is going to play in a porno shop. That turns out the other just be a warehouse. I was like, this isn't a porno shop.
No, he said you have to drive past the porno shops.
Oh, okay.
If you were listening to the movie at 1x speed, you might have picked up on this, but you over there with your double...
It was not double speed.
Harder to do that. I'm sure some people listening to this are like, we listen to your podcast at that speed. It doesn't bother me at all. I know people who listen to podcasts on more than 2x, and it sounds insane to me, but that's the way
My favorite is to find... Here's a fun trick for you, audience. Find a popular YouTube channel, pick any of their videos. It's going to be over 10 minutes long because that's how you get ad rolls. And then play it at 1.25 or 1.5 speed, and you'll be amazed at how it sounds like a normal human talking. And then listen to it regular, and you'll go, oh dear God, just speed your voice up.
Do you think they purposely slow the cadence of their speech?
Disney Food Blog is the worst about it. Hey guys, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and I'm super excited. Like, that's not how anyone talks. That's not even how I talk when I'm speaking slow to old people with technology. They do it so they can make their videos at least 10 plus minutes long so they can trick the YouTube algorithm.
Interesting. So we get another fight here with Spader and the hooligan
Where's
gang.
The security guard now? These people are doing donuts in front of the school.
And then the one guy who I believe is named Nick,
I couldn't tell you any of their
almost hits Spader with his car, and they're playing chicken, and Spader just stands there. But the editing in this scene is so bizarre. It cuts from the close up on the car tire squealing, close up to Spader's face where his eyes kind of narrow. I'm sorry. That the other thing I wanted to mention is, for some reason in class they're watching a film strip video of
Life in the Old West.
Wyatt Earp, but it's specifically Wyatt Earp and the gunfight at the OK Corral. Doc Holliday, all that stuff, because I think they're trying to do James Spader as the Doc Holliday Wyatt Earp character, and these guys are the gang. Yeah, yes, it is indeed bold. But so it's close up of the car, close up of Spader, back to the car, back to Spader. Then we get finally a wide shot when they get close. Then we get to a close up, and it's the bike flying up in the air in slow motion. Yes. And it's just the bike slowly spinning up in the air in slow motion, all mangled to crap, and then crashing to the ground. But it's such just odd editing choices. It makes this dramatic moment feel almost hilarious. It's very similar to Mac and Me, where there's just suddenly this cut of this boy in a wheelchair careening off a cliff where you're genuinely baffled.
But again, the classic 80s bully trope of attempted vehicular assault or achieved vehicular. Do you just say it's vehicular assault? You don't. Okay, got it. I had to think in my head. I was like, attempted versus you just say it. You don't say. There's no adjective for that.
No, it is a vehicular assault. It's an attempted murder.
Attempted vehicular manslaughter.
No, murder. There's intent here.
Yeah.
Just like in Goonies when he grabs Josh Brolin's bike handles and goes to 40 miles an hour, that's attempted murder. Right. That's not accidental.
Well, no, you missed the part. You missed the part where the bully, I'm not going to call him a bully. He's a gang leader.
Yes, bully is extremely light for this person, and then even at this point for what the crimes we've seen him commit, but not to mention the ones that he gets into felony territory very quickly.
Yeah, James picks up his bike and kind of huffs away because it's broken, and the bully's like, "I'm sorry, man," and then he doesn't say anything, and then Kim Richards goes, "Hey, he said he was sorry," and I was just, what are we trying to do here?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think what they're trying to do is roll you through the whole thing of Kim Richards has been sort of brainwashed by this guy, and she's, been with him for a long time, and this is sort of what she thinks life is like, and she doesn't have anything to say otherwise. But man, oh man, this is a different level of crazy than robbing some businessman who's taking a bus for some reason.
And then the mom, who is written like the biggest bitch in the world, shows up.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand why. It's a lot of confusing specific. I will say the writing specifically gets confusing. That's why I'm not shocked that this person didn't get much work after this.
Yeah, no,
the story is there. It's like a J.K. Rowling situation, both in name and you can create a story, but don't try and write it.
Right. The other issue I have with the mom is there seems to be a lot of something from before that we don't have any information about.
And we never learn about.
No, but Spader is unable to say to his parents, "Hey, a guy tried to kill me today." Mm-hmm. Which I feel like is a perfect excuse for having your bike mangled. Like, why is your bike all messed up? Well, a man tried to hit me with his car. On purpose? Yes, indeed, on purpose.
I wonder if it's because he knows he instigated the night before. Because they're like, stay out of trouble. You always fall in with the wrong crowd. Maybe. It would be nice if the movie told us that. Mom, someone tried to hit me. Well, what happened? What did you do to them? And then he would have to say that, and she'd be like, well, this is all your fault.
Right. And we smash cut from this domestic interlude to Robert Downey Jr. drumming shirtless in a warehouse with
looking pretty good.
David Bowie.
Yeah, he is a knockoff Bowie, singing a song about Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's very odd.
He's also wearing the coolest pants. Robert Downey Jr. is. There's like black and red Harley Quinn pants. I like.
Yeah,
them.
they are. Pretty much every outfit in this movie, I was like, well, Andrew wants to buy that. Oh, Andrew wants to buy that.
No, there were just a couple.
Andrew wants to buy that.
Just a couple.
Okay.
Target is straight up selling Magnum PI shirts right now. I was there.
Like branded?
No, I was there today, and I walked through the men's section, and it was just straight up, look at this Magnum PI shirt.
I gotta be honest with you. I am all here for the return of the Hawaiian shirt into men's fashion. It is like my ideal clothing
You just
item.
love linen.
But it's soft, and it's very comfortable, and it's very breathable.
But you don't live in a tropical clime. Like if you lived in Hawaii,
up here, pal, it's always
you live in
tropical
DC,
here, baby.
which just is cold, gray, and icy a lot in the winter.
You know how people say it's 5 o'clock somewhere?
It's Hawaii
here, baby?
somewhere.
It's always tropical. It's Hawaii all the time in my noggin, baby.
It's always Hawaii in Trip's brain.
Yes. But that's my idea. It's like if I could go out in public and be fashionable in the ideal clothing item, mwah. I started wearing them on the beach and it was a game changer. It's like, oh, this literally is the perfect garment for this situation. Why is it taking me 32 years to put this together?
That's why white families love to take pictures in linen pants on a beach.
I don't need that. I'm just talking about, I want the shirt to be really ugly. I need the two-parter of the shirt needs to be absurd as well.
Okay. I mean, they weren't terrible shirts. They were very Magnum. I was like, I could get this with my mustache and my hair, I could do a real good Magnum PI moment.
You just need your Detroit Tigers cap.
Oh, yeah. And tiny shorts.
Anyway, so this is one of the first dance breaks of the movie.
A weird transition again.
Yes.
I don't know who edited this movie, but it seemed like 5 different people edited it, and no one talked to each other or watched what had happened previously.
Or they only had certain days of footage available, and they had to just keep cutting with what they had, basically.
No, the transitions are weird. This one was...
No, they are.
It looked like a stock effect from iMovie, where it was just 3 panels sliding into frame and then joining together. I don't know.
The person who edited it in their IMDb picture is holding an Emmy.
Well, then.
No, I'm sorry. Yes. No, that's an Emmy.
Oh, the other funny thing about Kim Richards, if you go to her wiki...
He edited Project Runway. Your jam.
Really? Huh. If you go to Kim Richards' wiki, the picture is her as a child in a film. If you go to Kyle Richards' wiki, it's her today. Which, to me, speaks volumes.
I mean, you can control that if you have IMDb Pro,
No,
right?
it's wiki. Anybody can edit that.
Yes.
And for some unknown reason, James Spader is just horny for Kim Richards.
He is extremely horny for Kim Richards.
With no explanation.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense why he'd be into this woman, given that he knows her boyfriend is a sociopath who's trying to kill him, and their only interactions have been her cheering on the crazy person.
Yeah, it would be one thing if at school, before he went into the Wyatt Earp class, she saw him and just said, "Hey, I'm really sorry about," or some kind of something that said, "There's a connection here." But there isn't, and so I just am baffled because after this, all she does is tell him no, and all he does is keep going, and it makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Right, and also this character that Kim Richards is playing has absolutely no agency in the whole movie.
No, she doesn't even have a backstory until an hour into the movie.
Right. This is a bit of a clever scene, though, where they leave this warehouse club and Spader's getting beat up by this gang of hooligans, and they steal a car that they think is Spader's car, but it's not Spader's car.
Earlier, he took the keys out of someone's convertible, and I don't know how the bullies knew he had them. Did I miss something where...
I think they just beat him up and got his keys.
No, they specifically asked for them. They said, "Give us those keys." So... I was trying to think, did he dangle him in front of Kim Richards, like, "Let's get out of here" style, or...
Maybe, yeah,
I don't remember that, but they knew he had them, and so they drive away in his car, and when RDJ goes, "Sorry they stole your car," he goes, "Oh, I don't have a car."
Yeah, I thought that moment was really great. I gotta be honest, the first, 45 minutes, I was kind of in on this movie and going, I wonder why this wasn't more,
And then you saw the runtime.
And I saw the rest of it, was like, okay, the wheels are coming off here. I also love, it's such an 80s, it's in modern movies too, but it's such a movie universe thing of opening a car and the keys are tucked somewhere in it.
The mirror.
The
vanity mirror.
Sun visor, yeah. I just watched something recently where a character did that, and it wasn't that old of a movie, and it's just such a movie universe only thing.
Yeah, because I have done the lock my keys in the trunk situation or tuck them into a thing.
I think most people have, yeah.
Because I have a punch code that I know on this. My last car didn't know the punch code. It was useless. Now that I know the punch code, it's a lovely feature.
Yeah. Mine has the if you touch the door handle in the right way, it unlocks the car. So mercifully, I have locked the keys in the car, and just touching the door handle the right way has opened the door. But I've never consciously been, let me put the keys to my vehicle in it and go away.
No, I mean, like I said, I've done that, but I don't put them somewhere conspicuous where you flip down the sun visor and there it is.
Right.
They have some weird flirty banter the next day at school.
Yeah, and we have a rat in James Spader's locker.
A dead rat. It is like carved open and gross.
It's a real gory thing, very Godfather-y.
And James Spader's brother is here now, and he looks like an 80s movie bully.
Right. And this is a part of this where it's like, I feel like there's a good movie here, or it probably needs a couple more rewrites. They said it was written in 3.5 weeks.
It needs a 6-pack of beer, 24 hours in a hotel, and John Carpenter.
Yes. I thought you were going to go a different direction, and I was very curious why you were wanting Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan to rewrite this movie. But I was like, I mean, I would also like that version of it, but I don't know if Hulk Hogan, full-grown man in the high school, is going to play. But we can try it. So he has this little fight with his brother, because this relationship should be part of this movie. The fact that his Spader's sort of pushing back against the blue blood upbringing that he had, and the brother doesn't, and they have a little squabble there. I feel like that's a really interesting movie.
He's dressed all in pastels and whites with a sweater wrapped around his shoulders and boating shoes. He looks like he's about to go try and win the regatta so that the orphanage can't win and get the money.
Absolutely, and there's an interesting sort of slobs v snobs thing to happen there, but not what we get.
It's just so poorly developed that it doesn't go anywhere. And then the brother shows up later in the movie, and there's more tension that doesn't feel earned, and then he just disappears.
Yeah, the brother also takes an Uber out.
I will say, okay, so
through it.
Once I saw credits start to roll, I turned the movie off. Did you continue to watch?
I left it on.
Okay, because I
there's nothing important.
My thought was, I was like, is Dad going to show up? Is Brother going to show up? Are we going to get a resolution to these problems we've established?
It's just fun. It's honestly, the reason I didn't turn it off is because
No, not Pee Wee Herman, Great Outdoors.
No, it's Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, baby.
Oh, but I mean, it's the Great Outdoors where it's just a dance sequence over the credits.
Yes, it is that exact same sequence of the Great Outdoors for sure. We should do a month where we just do revisiting movies that are beloved from us in childhood. Is The Great Outdoors an 80s movie? I feel like it is.
I think it is. If not, it's 1990.
That would be a fun 80s.
Adventures in Babysitting and Great Outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of stuff we should put into a pile and then figure out a month and make that a recurring theme month. That's really not relevant to the listener necessarily, but I feel like that's a fun we gotta figure that out.
So we go to...
But yes, but yes, the end of the movie is just another song, and I just happened to think that song was decent, so I was like, I'm going to leave this playing.
So we go to the car hop place, which these movies are rife with.
Yeah, everybody's got a freaking car hop.
And these three girls literally look like they went to Party City and got 80s pop star, 80s rocker chick, and 80s queen costumes out of a bag and put them on.
Yeah, shook them out, just plopped it on.
And Kim Richards smashes her friend's burger into her fucking face.
Yeah, it's really terrible. And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was no burger in that burger.
I did notice that.
I wonder if it really just looked like condiments in a bun. And I was curious if the two explanations being or three explanations. One, it's cheaper. Two, it's probably less gross. Three, maybe that actress is a vegetarian.
Maybe. They couldn't put a portobello mushroom on there.
Yeah, but you also are skipping over the part where Robert Downey Jr., before they go to this car hop or drive-in type place, has stolen Nick's car and pretends to try to kill James Spader with it, and then stops, throws the door open, hops out, and is like, it's just me, buddy.
I thought Kim Richards was going to step out of the car.
Yeah, I did too, but I thought it was going to be her trying to actually murder him because he got her boyfriend sent to jail.
Yeah. Also, how were there no scenes of him in jail?
Right.
In this 2-hour movie, you couldn't give me 30 seconds of the bully unhappy in jail?
Yeah, it would have been very easy. And we also get the opening of the movie starts with the song Tuff Turf, which comes back later.
It sounds like this, and it's super creepy.
Wait, Tuff Turf or this
The
one?
one at the beginning of the movie. I guess it's Tuff Turf. I was so creeped out.
I think this is. Are you sure it's not because you had it on 2x speed? Because
it's 1.25. A and B. I was like, this sounds weird, and I put it on normal, and I was like, this still sounds creepy.
Huh. I thought it sounded like the music part of it I thought was kind of a great 80s tune. The singer
maybe the music, the voice specifically was so creepy to me that I just was like, no, it's a no for me, dog.
But the other one that I like, so that very much spells out like, this is a movie about tough people. They get the women in the car, the girls in the car, and the song is, what do you do when opposites attract?
They did that.
It's like, what? You can be a little bit less obvious and on the nose with your score.
When you pointed out all the music
selection.
choices in Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, because they're all doing
the exact same thing.
Yes. Trip, ruining other people's movie experiences.
It doesn't ruin
three plus decades.
You can't ruin Devil Wears Prada for me because it is 3 amazing performances just barrel rolling through this movie. 4 if you count Stanley Tucci. And it introduced the world to Emily Blunt, which, thank you, Devil Wears Prada. The girls get in the car because they think it's Nick, and the best friend that got the burger smashed in her face immediately goes, oh, Robert Downey Jr. won't be needing these panties, and just jumps on him in the back seat.
I mean,
no, I can't, but I was just so confused as to why all of a sudden this girl we barely spent any time with, don't know anything about, is so about Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I think she just looked at him.
Yes, but in movie world, I need more than that. And Kim Richards is just mad and says, I want to get out of this car. Let me out of this car. And keeps getting told no.
This section also has some very bizarre ADR. It feels like all of the dialogue in this section where they're driving the car and they drive to the country club was done later. Because at one point, Spader turns around and has his back to the camera and he does like a monologue.
Yeah.
He's like telling everybody what to do and how to act natural and how to fix their clothes. And it feels like they handed him a 2-page rewrite and we're going like, hey, just say this into this microphone. We'll fix it later.
Yeah.
But this sequence is extremely Ferris Bueller. It's Abe Froman
one of the
Sausage
things I like the best in this movie. Because they're all in on it. I think that's what I appreciate the most is once they get into once he kind of cons their way in to the club, the country club, not like a club, a country club.
Yeah.
All 4 of these teenagers get in on the act, and it's really a delight to see.
It feels very improv as well, and all of these scenes where we've got Spader talking about dill sauce with crab cakes.
Cracked crab is just to die for.
Yeah, and RDJ is talking to what's he talking about?
Food and eating.
Okay, they're all doing these like one bits, but the girl who's with RDJ is talking about blowjobs.
Where did she go? Because I was this character.
She was the best character in the movie.
Great. Where did she go?
Yes. She takes an Uber out of the movie after this scene. She's just not there anymore until the end of the movie where they do the like Land of 1,000 Dances part and she's back. It's completely inexplicable. Inexcusable in addition to that.
Because she was great.
Right. And this is a perfect encapsulation of the tone problems in this movie. I know I've said that like 5 times, but there's a few of these scenes that make sense here where if you have this movie be Nick is a bully and not a psychopath, and it's
his country club
new guy. Yeah. No. The tone of Spader and the gang in the country club and hijinks, and the antagonist is a bully who's mad at him and is trying to beat him up versus the antagonist is a
murderer, just
one step short of a murderer, and is assaulting him in the locker room with baseball bats and baseballs and tube socks. It's just the 2 pieces don't mesh together.
I agree.
The energy in this stuff is great, and the energy in that stuff and those scenes are also okay. You could make that movie, but they don't go together.
They don't fit.
It's like peanut butter and tuna.
Yeah, don't do that.
You got 2 different sandwich halves, and you were like, well, instead of 2 half sandwiches, I'm just gonna put these together.
Yeah, just do 2 open-faced.
Or 2 halfers where you fold the bread over.
The movie is 2 hours long. Just split it in half, film a little more, and get 2 movies.
Yes, exactly. Pick a lane.
Also, the girls literally just ate. And then he's like, let's get some food at the country club.
Okay. All right. Let me pitch you this scenario.
Okay.
You've had some McDonald's burgers.
I would say I would call these Sonic. It looked like a Sonic.
Okay. You've had a Sonic burger, and I call you up and I say, hey, I got lobster and shrimp. You want to come have some? You tell me you're not going to have lobster and shrimp?
I would be mad that you... but could you wait a couple hours? Because I literally just ate
No, they're ready
burger.
right now. They're right now. You can have lobster and shrimp right now, or you can have nothing.
No, we'll let the lobster cool.
Lobster and shrimp.
Toss it in some mayonnaise
sauce. It's already
sauce,
cool.
And we'll throw it in a bun. We'll make some cool lobster rolls.
I know you. You're full of shit. You would absolutely chow down on some shrimps.
Not if I literally just ate a full burger and fries meal.
You wouldn't do it. You would do it out of like a need more than a want. But you'd be like, well, I'm not going to pass up this shrimp opportunity.
Shrimp opportunity.
Lobster opportunities like this don't come around every day. I'm getting in there.
There's a set of t-shirts. Seize the shrimp opportunity.
Lobster opportunity knocks.
Yeah, that's a parent. It's a best friend t-shirt.
Yeah.
And the shrimp, the S
I think you're
in shrimp opportunity.
But the other part of this,
shrimps. The S in shrimp opportunity is shrimps.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the L in lobster opportunity is like a profile of a lobster with the tail curled up.
I was thinking a claw.
Oh, claw works too.
Like it's holding its claw up.
Claw works too.
Yeah, but I love this lounge singer version of Twist and Shout, which is very like slowed down and laid back on the piano. And then at one point he's like, "It's my favorite song," and he's doing the part, and he's like, "Now you," and nobody does it. And he's like, "You guys are the best. This is the best gig I've ever played."
We hired a band, not a DJ, and now we're paying the price.
Right. Yeah,
and but Kim Richards steals a whole lobster.
Specifically, Wait,
Kim
what?
Richards steals a whole lobster. Did you notice that?
Oh, she does. Robert Downey Jr. puts an entire 3-foot baguette down his
and
pants.
And gets it taken
the snooty
away.
Waiter guy yanks it out. Yeah.
She picks up a whole lobster and puts it like in her purse and then run away.
Exactly. That's the right energy. Lobster opportunities cannot be passed by.
It was us with the cheese plate on the cruise.
Yes, exactly. We stole a cheese plate from dinner. We were not allowed to take food back to your room, so Andrew ran interference, and I covered it with a napkin.
I ran interference with a martini.
The person who was supposed to stop you from doing that.
With it was martini or champagne. I can't remember. I ran in front of you.
You had a drink,
a fancy drink, yes. And I was just like, "Go up the stairs! Go up the stairs!"
Yes. I also love the interactions with the country club concierge person who's trying to keep him out. This guy does a really good job with this part, and Spader does the whole like, "Oh, it's Muffy and Charles. I haven't seen them in forever. Hello, Muffy and Charles. Excuse me, Giles." And he just like walks right past the guy. Good stuff all around.
Yeah,
this is the best scene in the movie.
It is 100%. So the band guy leaves.
Oh, also James Spader sings a song. We didn't talk about that.
I was just about to say that.
Oh, sorry.
Because he goes, "Oh, guys, head for the door. I'll distract everyone." And he goes, "Can you sing?" And Kim Richards goes, "No. Do you hear my voice?" And he's like, "Then just sit on the piano." And as the band singer guy, whatever, leaves the stage, he goes, "We're going to take a quick break." James Spader slides to the piano, goes, "And we're going to sing while they're on break." No. Anyone in charge here goes, "That's not supposed to happen. Go away. Don't play the piano."
Yeah. But, rich country club a-hole slides behind the piano, probably letting it slide a little bit.
Sings a 3.5-minute song.
Yep. Full on sings a song for no reason.
No, thank you.
And then we get a very cliche, let's walk around while slow music plays and do the part where
let's walk around a fountain. Let's nail this cliche specifically. Let's walk around a fountain at night while sad music plays.
And that leads to her eventually, they have a little heart-to-heart, and she's like, "Do you want to go dancing?"
Well, it's what we learned, the only information we ever learn about her character.
That is true. And frankly, most of what we learned about Spader's character.
Yeah. And we get another dance sequence.
Yes, at least this music is good. This is the aforementioned Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, who I had a real weird... They have a really cool intro where they're kind of behind scrim, and the scrim opens up and they walk out and they all have matching outfits on. It's kind of like a cool big band R&B kind of sound. But I was looking these guys up, and they were the band playing when the 1996 Atlanta bombing happened. Like, they were on the podium in Atlanta, or on the stage, not the podium, in Atlanta when the pipe bomb went off.
Jesus.
So this band is like a major part of that Clint Eastwood, Richard Jewell movie?
I was going to say, there's a movie coming out about it.
So they're like a decent part of it, and they just released this year Jack Mack and the Heart Attack live in Atlanta 1996 as like an album, which includes tracks recorded that night. It was great. It's very obviously some marketing person being like, we got to capture that Richard Jewell heat.
That feels
and then
so...
extremely tasteless, right?
Well, the best is what I love about and hate about that movie's marketing campaign is that everything about it's like, it's so important for today's cancel culture to see. I was like, just shut up. Some people need to be canceled.
So they have a valid point,
yes.
but that movie completely fabricates a part where a reporter for the Atlanta, I don't know the name of the paper. No, I think it's a hyphen, but whatever. The major Atlanta paper, they completely fabricated a story where the woman who was writing the story was sleeping with her source in order to get information. So I don't know that you could make a point about rushing to judgment on people when you take a real person's name and insinuate that the only reason they got their information is because they were stooping an FBI agent.
Please tell me
it feels a little shitty to be. I don't know if they've sued, but there's definitely been a lot of attention from both the paper and the family of this woman who is unfortunately now dead. But the whole movie is about people getting smeared in public, and they're like, hey, how about we just smear one of the major figures of it as sort of a delayed retribution?
God damn
it. Yeah, I read that part and I couldn't believe what I was reading, that was a thing that they had added to that.
That's awful.
Also, pretty wild that we somehow managed to get into a Richard Jewell convo during Tuff Turf. This is a weird-ass world we're a part of.
I mean, we got there organically.
No, I mean, it makes sense. It's a clear line. It just...
So they finally kiss, and then we...
I am sure you're wrong.
About both parts, or just the second?
Probably both. Anyway, let's get back on track
So
here.
they finally kiss, and then we smash cut to...
dance break.
Kim Richards' bedroom. Where her boyfriend, this gang leader straight up sexually assaults her. And it's too long, and I'm uncomfortable.
Yes. At best, sexually assaults her. It's pretty obvious that this is a rape scene that they cut away from. It's really uncomfortable.
And then
he keeps pressuring her. She keeps pushing back on him. It's the worst version of this. It's almost the same as what happens in a rape revenge movie, which is just like, what? We don't need this in this movie.
It just it's so uncomfortable.
And it's also, it doesn't do anything to add to the relationship where we know he's a scumbag and she's in over her head. We already know that. Up
to this point, he'd been a perfect boyfriend, and then this happens. Okay, cool. You've sort of justified this in your movie, kind of.
Right.
But this is so worthless. And then we smash cut to the next day at school, and James Spader's in the locker room that empties so fast.
Well, everybody knows shit's about to go down. I'd get out of there, too.
He goes, hey, guys, something, and then dries off his hair for 5 seconds, and when he takes off the towel, the room is empty. Without a sound.
Right. It's like the gang rolled in and did like a wiggle your finger in the air and jerk a thumb, and everybody was like...
It's like they were all cockroaches and the light turned on.
Yes, exactly.
And so they beat him with locks in socks, which is not a Dr. Seuss book.
No. It's really just very dark.
And if you beat someone with a sock full of locks, which makes me giggle to say, now that I say it out loud, I have... If you beat them with a sock full of locks, you're going to do way more damage than this movie purports.
Yes. Well, it's interesting. The first couple hits are definitely thunky sounds. The second volley of hits sound like towel snaps.
Mm-hmm. It's so bizarre, but he's kind of acting. He's acting pretty well in pain, but his body looks fine. He doesn't look bruised or like beaten.
Well, it's all red. Yeah, it's all red, but not the way it should be.
He took a too hot shower.
Right.
So he sneaks home. Mom comes in with groceries. Also, money's supposed to have been tight for this family now, I guess.
Well, the dad lost his job and is now a cab driver.
Yes.
But they apparently moved all the way across the country for him to drive a cab, which seems weird if they were from New York before.
Cheap city of LA.
Yes. Also, a city with less of a cab culture than New York.
Mm-hmm. But they're saying money's tight, da-da-da-da-da. And because mom comes in with 2 bags of groceries and dad goes, are there any more? And she says, that's a funny joke. And then pulls out Perrier. Hey, Ma, money's tight.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on the 6-pack of Perrier.
You know what? Mom can have her one goddamn indulgence. She's trying to keep this whole house together while things are crumbling. If she wants a fizzy mineral water, she can have her goddamn fizzy mineral water.
Buy a 50-cent fizzy plain water and deal with it.
It's the one indulgence she has. She gave up smoking and drinking.
To her son.
This scene here that follows where the dad goes into Spader's room is like a weird breakup scene.
Comes out of nowhere.
It comes absolutely out of nowhere. But he sits down with Spader and it's like this big heart to heart. But the tone of the conversation is very much, it's not you, it's me. We both have things to work on, blah, 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 blah. It makes no sense in this movie.
Well, the dad has had 2 lines of dialogue before this point, and so through James Spader's eyes, we assume that he just wants James Spader to be like the brother. But then he sits down and he goes, I've never wanted that. I've only ever wanted you to be yourself, which would have more weight and power if we had seen like any of this. Any indication that there's a relationship here. Because all we know is that James Spader says a couple times, well, I'm not my brother. I'm not the golden boy.
Right. Yeah, it stinks. It really, really stinks. The performance is good. The guy playing the dad, he's good here, but it's just unearned. It makes no sense in this movie. Yeah. And then we cut to Kim Richards is getting dressed. She hears some music out the window. It's a real Lloyd Dobler situation where Spader's there with the radio, and then they talk to each other a little bit. And then he leaves, and the dad is knocking on the door like, oh, Nick's here. And Nick comes barging in, and the dad's
dressed
right behind.
Like a lost boy. Either the vampire or the Neverland boy.
But it's a real Kiefer situation. We got a vest with no shirt on. It's a vest, no shirt. Or a leather jacket with no shirt on.
No, it's a vest with no shirt on, eyeliner, and a tie as a belt. So it could be either Lost Boy. You don't know.
But we find out here, the dad's like, it's not every day somebody asks me if they can marry you. And I said yes. It's like, well, how about what she said? Because I feel like this is not how this works.
But also, you're cool with this guy, Dad? You're cool with shirtless eyeliner?
The dad is basically like, look, my wife died. Anybody that can get this girl so she's not my responsibility anymore is great for me. I run a really shitty liquor store next to a bowling alley. I don't have a lot going on.
That's fair. No one at the school cares or has a negative reaction to this engagement. They're all just like, oh, this is so exciting. No, it's not.
I feel like at 17, if one of my friends got engaged, the universal reaction would be like, well, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah. I'm 27, and so I was at the grocery store the other day, and I saw someone, and we kind of looked at each other, and I was like, you look kind of familiar, but I don't know how I know you. And he goes, are you Andrew? And I was like, oh, yes, yeah, hi. And he goes, we went to school together. My name's blank. And then it clicked who he was. And I was like, oh, hi. So we exchanged a few words and then parted ways. And I was like, that was weird. And then I looked him up on Facebook. He's married with a child and has another one on the way. And I was like, we're the same age. What?
Yeah. Well, you've crossed that threshold, but the weirdest transition of the 20s for me was finding out someone was pregnant and the reaction is yay and not ooh.
Well, so I did that when I was 22 because someone was like, "Oh, we were out for buying something for a show." And she was like, "Oh, can we stop at this Wawa so I can get a tampon? I'm on my period." And I was like, "Oh, at least you're not pregnant. Like that's a good, good thing there." And she goes, "Oh, actually, so and I are trying." And I was like, "Well, great."
Of course you did that.
Well, isn't that special?
That's an extremely you move. Also, Spader invites her to dinner, and in another twist, much like everyone's excited about this upcoming nuptials, everybody's just extremely chill about giving wine to children.
Yeah, that was weird.
Spader's Spader's family's like, I get the champagne for the we just got engaged. That one seems completely logical if everybody's excited. But this is just a casual like Thursday night dinner with the Spader family, and we're just having a glass of wine all apiece.
Apparently that's cool with them. And there's a weird moment. So the mom is a bitch because she's like, the last girl James Spader brought home was so high she could only stare at the peas and talk about how green they were. And I was like, what? That doesn't seem like the kind of... that is not at all the character you've created for James Spader, that he would be hanging out with that person.
No. Yeah. Well, they kept saying he was like running in with the wrong crowd, but we have no evidence of that because all we know of him is he's extremely smart and creative.
Yeah. And Kim Richards starts eating what looks like a chicken nugget or some kind of fried something with her hand, and Mom gives her a look like, how dare you, you garbage monster. Anyone, if that's a small fried thing on a plate, that's a finger food. That's a finger food, Mom.
I think so. Yeah. This woman probably eats her French fries with a fork.
Or like how Patrick Stewart was surprised when he learned you could order a single slice of pizza and it didn't come with a knife and fork. That was like 10 years ago. Within 10 years ago that happened. Yeah. Huh. Sir Patrick Stewart. Right? He's Sir, right?
Yeah.
Sir Patrick Stewart learned that you didn't have to buy a whole pizza. You can buy individual slices, and they don't come with a knife and a fork.
See, that's stunning to me because he's a toker. You'd think that would be like something he would be.
No, I think at his token rate, he probably just buys the whole pizza.
Well, I'm just saying, he was living in New York. You don't think he was, or in his London days, he wasn't like having a little token walking for a. You know what? I feel like there's less pizza culture in London than there is in New York. Maybe
I think so.
The difference. He was having a curry takeaway.
Yeah, he was at a stand.
Yeah. And also the mom who the character, she is terrible, but she brings up Kim Richards' now dead mother, and Kim Richards loses her mind about it. And I feel like this is kind of a callous thing to say, but if you're someone who loses a sibling or a parent, unless it just happened, I feel like the callous and thick skin grows really quick on this, because for the rest of your life, it's going to come up and be kind of a thing that you're going to have to address.
Yeah, parents and siblings.
And so it seems like this happened a while ago.
It happened a year ago.
Right. It seems like this. Oh, okay. Was it a year? That doesn't seem as ridiculous to me. I thought it happened when she was young.
No, it was a year ago.
Okay, I missed that
just
part.
Because the mom's talking about, oh, if you lived here, have you ever been to this garden? I hear the roses are lovely. And he's like, no, that's not her scene. And she's like, well, if you've never been, then we can go. It'll be a nice. Mom's trying here, and I'll give her credit for that, because she's like, we can go. We can make a day of it. You, me, and even your mom, if she's interested. And that's when Kim Richards turns into a spaz monster.
Yeah, she like storms out of the room and is yelling at Spader.
Go talk about roses. What? The roses are what offended you?
Right. So she storms out, and as she's walking down the street, Nick pulls up in the car, forces her to get in it, and then they're driving around in circles aimlessly for hours. At one point, I thought she got drugged because she's sort of falling asleep. I did too. I was like, ooh, because
this bottle of booze is which they made her drink out of is drugged.
Yeah. And so I thought this was going to be real bad, like real disgusting movie town.
So, and it was at this point in the movie that I read the IMDb trivia, and it said for her nude scene, Kim's body double is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, what? We're getting a nude scene?
Right. Yeah, I thought this was going to be really heinous. It's still bad, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, given the tone of the rest of this movie. But they find James Spader's dad having a cup of coffee, taking a break from driving his cab. And Nick is like, take my watch and go get money from that guy. And she doesn't want to do it. She's like, I bought you this watch. This isn't, I don't want to get rid of this. And Nick pushes her, and he's like, no, it's because it's James Spader's dad, huh? Get out of the car. And so I'm stupid and didn't realize this was a setup for them to rob the guy. I thought it was her legitimately getting rid of this watch because of her reactions. Well, but her things being like, I gave you that watch.
Oh, it was clearly that was the second reason. Because she gets back, first she's like, I gave you that watch, and then when she sees it's James Spader's dad, she gets back in the car and she's like, I gave you this watch. I don't want you to see you get rid of it. Like, that would suck.
Yeah.
Like, clearly making shit up. But so she runs over to James Spader's dad and tries to get him to leave, and they start to beat him up, but he fights back, and I was real hyped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, is this movie now? Because I'm so here for this.
There's like a real version of this where the guy pulls a gun first and is basically going, I'm a cab driver. I don't take shit from you idiots. And just like, it becomes Charles Bronson. Death Wish.
Yeah. Wouldn't be mad about that version of this movie where dad pulls out a gun and just shoots them all in the knees. And he's like, look,
right,
try it again. And the bolt's going higher.
Yeah. But instead what happens is Nick pulls out a gun and shoots him 3 times from point blank range.
And then runs away.
So Kim Richards sort of tends to the fallen dad.
Kim Richards pulled the movie Ghost. Who is the ceramic artist in the movie Ghost? Thank you. I was like, couldn't think of a name. She pulls it Demi Moore in Ghost, where this fight is happening in front of her, and she just does absolutely nothing.
Yes.
It's so frustrating.
Right. Yeah, no, she could have kicked somebody in the nuts and helped even the odds here very easily.
Because then we see James Spader's dad in the hospital, and she shows up and says she's so sorry, and I'm like, you should be sorry. You didn't do anything. You allowed this to happen. You should be sorry, Kim. But there's also a weird tension moment that, again, isn't earned, where Mom and James Spader are like holding each other in the waiting room, and then the older brother shows up, and Mom gets up instantly to hug him and say, I'm glad you're here. And it's treated as though she kicked James Spader to the curb. And I was like, no. Yeah. In this situation, he's the new family member coming in. Oh, this is another moment of support that I might lose my husband? Great.
Right. But he glares at Spader, and it's a very sort of, what's that, Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son, where it's just like the evil maniacal glare of like, it's mine now, kid.
So can I tell you, for the longest time, I thought the Good Son was called The Problem Child, which is a different movie.
Oh,
which is a very different movie. But I thought the title would work for that too.
Yeah, it would.
Because I've said, like, I remember someone was being fussy or whatever, and I was like, are you Macaulay Culkin? Because you're a problem child. And then I have used that phrase a lot until someone was like, that's not that movie. And I was like, no, it's the one where he's a murderer. I think Elijah Wood's in it. And like, no, that movie's called The Good Son. And I was like, oh no. Oh no.
It has a really bonkers ending. You should look it up on YouTube.
Oh, I will.
So this is when we get Spader and Kim Richards having a sex scene.
It is sleazy and drawn out and slow and lecherous, and I hate it.
Kim Richards has the most centerfold photo hairspray I've ever seen in a film.
You aren't going to get this reference yet, but she looks like Elvira when she's asleep in her bed in Massachusetts, where all of her hair is fanned out behind her like octopus tentacles and artfully placed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much the perfectly posed person in lingerie or bikini or naked or whatever, where they spend an hour fussing with them before they take the one picture. But it's in a movie, so it's shot for like 2 seconds, and then she switches.
Yeah,
she switches positions.
It's so gross.
It's also like 4 minutes long. Why are we dedicating 4 minutes of the runtime to the sex scene?
And this is where, and then after that, Kim Richards goes to her dad to be like, I'm not going to marry Nick. He's a psycho. And Nick shows up and beats up her dad and trashes the shop.
Throws him through a booze display. Yeah.
Trashes the shop and makes her call. I don't know why he made her call what's-his-face if he was just going to say show up at the warehouse. It's not like caller ID was a thing.
He doesn't know his number.
Oh.
Right, but he doesn't know Spader's number. It's because he couldn't just take her phone and do it.
It says, meet me at the warehouse for a murder fight. And this is where James Spader's brother shows up and he's like, I'm not going to let you or do you want to tell me the story before the police? And I was like, what? Why? I didn't know. Why has anyone assumed James Spader's linked to this father shooting?
Right. Do you really think that he's involved with the gang that shot his dad and hasn't told anyone that?
I was so confused. So because I was like, at this point, I don't know if anyone knows that Kim Richards was there. I don't know anything.
Right.
The movie has spent 45 minutes of B-roll at the high school and biking through the city and going on a tour of the stars' homes and couldn't spend 5 fucking minutes to tell me what everyone knows now.
Right. It would be very easy to explain what's going on. Andrew just got so mad he knocked down his video chat.
I didn't know.
But I love this part. This is extremely the part of Home Alone where Kevin McAllister is like, this is it. don't get scared now. And then we cut to the Christmas music like dun 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 dun.
Well, so
dun,
the brother
dun,
is like, hey, I'm going to call the police on you. And James Spader goes, good, I need all the help I can get. And then goes to Robert Downey Jr.'s house, and he's not there. And he goes, here's a note, bye.
And this person at Robert Downey Jr.'s house, who is either the brother or the dad, is drinking a can of beer that just says the word beer on it.
Oh, I missed that.
It's a white can with black letters. It just says beer.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, we get this super Home Alone ending. He knocks out one guy, ties his feet to a sign for some reason.
Well, he kind of hog ties him, and then he uses him as a counterweight for this sign. But you wouldn't need the counterweight.
We're not in a theater. We're not rigging the flies. We don't need counterweight. We want this to fall.
It's this huge wooden billboard with like a clown on it, and he drops it on two of the goons who get clobbered by this sign
and
from
then instantly
50 feet.
Get back up.
Right. It's so dumb. Meanwhile, the bad guy is shooting actual bullets at James Spader, who only has paint
There's
guns.
only 10 minutes left in this movie, by the way. And I went, we're not getting dad. We're not getting a dad wrap up. We're not getting anything.
No.
He fights them.
He shoots one guy in the hand, and the guy looks at his hand all in terror because it's red paint. And I've been shot with a paintball. I've never been shot with a bullet, but I can imagine that the pain levels are significantly different. And also, if I saw red paint on my hand, it wouldn't be like, oh, a bullet has gone through my body.
I guess maybe adrenaline. I don't know. So the two...
Then he... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Robert Downey Jr. shows up with his dogs.
Oh, no. Before that, we need to talk about how James Spader does a full-on Errol fucking Flynn fly on the rope with the gun and kick the bad guy. Yes! That's some real Robin Hood Men in Tights nonsense.
It is so insane. So then Robert Downey Jr. shows up and releases his dogs, and the one gay gang member in a crop top climbs like a squirrel, and the other one jumps out the window. And straight out the window.
Through the glass. But before the Deus Ex Downey doggos, the bad guy has him, the two goons are holding him, and the third guy has a gun pointed at him from like 6 inches away. And it's like, do they really think the audience believes the end of this movie is James Spader gets shot? This is so drawn out and takes so long.
I wouldn't be the most shocked. And then this fucking movie steals from West Side Story, where Kim Richards takes a gun and goes, how many bullets are left? How many are left? Enough for so-and-so and so-and-so? And I was just like, if she says, and still enough for me, I'm going to throw my laptop.
But also, we didn't mention the fact that Robert Downey Jr. got shot in the thigh and seems pretty much fine.
Yeah, it's the thigh. He's Iron Man. He's Iron Man.
But like later at the end of the movie, he's not limping or anything.
No. Also, the gun turns out to have no bullets, and the gang leader punches Kim Richards once and knocks her out. But the sign didn't knock those two guys out. Just again, pointing that out.
Well, Kim Richards is a bit of a glass jaw. I mean, if you look at the tail of the tape,
I don't care. A sign dropped from above.
I was doing a dumb joke. My bigger problem is the Nick, the head of the bad guys, picks up a nail board, and then James Spader counters with an axe, and then they have an axe versus nail board fight for a minute.
So the nail board gets stuck in a wall, and he's like trying to pull it out, and James Spader chops the board in half with the axe. I'm like, don't give him a weapon again.
Right. Also, that's not how this works. Like, unless it's balsa wood, if you swung an axe into a 4x4, it would just get embedded into it.
Well,
he breaks it like a karate board, basically.
Yeah. So then we get the scene from The Shining where Wendy is backing up the stairs and Jack has the bat.
Yes.
Does he have the bat? Yeah, he has taken it from her at that point. And James Spader keeps chopping at the railing, and I was like, look, it's a lot of violence, but if you're gonna have an axe in this fight, just put it in his chest.
Yes. This guy has raped your girlfriend, shot your father, assaulted you on more than one occasion, and that's only the crimes that you are... And he assaulted that random street guy to steal his wallet. I'm sorry, I don't believe that that's a death penalty worthy thing necessarily, but in the heat of this moment, I would forgive the guy.
If someone shoots our father, they're getting an axe in the chest. Like, sorry.
Yeah, it's very simply just like, well, I'm going to kill you now.
Mm-hmm. So they fight and they scuffle, it knocks him down, and I was like, just step on his head!
Right. Like, at this point, kill the guy. Yes.
Instead, we get a stupid video game QuickTime event where James Spader is looking away, and you see the bully slink into frame and then just hold there, bouncing back and forth for 30 seconds. And I was like, where's the X button with the ring around it that disappears?
And he does basically a Wilhelm scream death where he just goes over the rail.
He's Gaston at the end of Beauty and the Beast.
Exactly. And it's like, well, I guess he's dead. I don't really understand. And instead of the movie resolving anything with any line of dialogue, it's smash cut to Jack Mack and the heart attack. We're back at the club. We're dancing. Robert Downey Jr. is fine. The other woman is returned for no reason and is flirting with people. And then the movie's over.
Yeah, it was insanity.
Yeah, it's a very, very weird movie. Final thoughts?
It's too long. If you watch it it faster, like me, sure, I'd recommend. But it's nearly 2 hours, and not an exaggeration, 50 minutes of that is music sequences and B-roll.
Yeah, it is way, way too long. It is available on Prime. There's a decent cut of it on YouTube. That Tubi that we've talked about on here before also has it with commercials and nice quality. There's some elements of this that I like. I like Robert Downey Jr.'s character. I think Kim Richards does a pretty good job. But overall, it's just kind of sloppy. We've talked about this with many movies, but I certainly would never commit the time to it myself, but you could probably cut this into a 90-minute movie that's much better.
Yes, you could.
Or 95-minute movie that's much better without reshooting anything, just using what's here. But yeah, it's a bummer because it's got elements that I really enjoy, but overall not good.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame. It's so close.
Right. But if you want to see really young RDJ or James Spader or pre-Real Housewives house stolen Kim Richards, you can find that here.
We should look up the whole stolen house thing, and
how about you look it up?
We'll put it on Patreon.
To me later.
We'll put the answer on Patreon.
It'll be in next month's the January Bag of Soup Sentinel. We will reveal
this
the
month,
Housewives.
I'm obsessed with the Real Housewives.
Yes. Well, you and Mom watched it a lot.
We watched New Jersey and Beverly Hills. Those were the only two we watched.
That was the one she was on.
She was on Beverly Hills. That's what I mean. Like, so there are like 10. There was New York City, Georgia.
Yeah, I'm just
Tampa.
saying. I was saying specifically
Miami.
that I knew you watched Kim Richards on that show. I knew that for sure.
I watched the first couple seasons, but the problem is that I get so soured. I was like, this is it's reality television, which means it's all fake. Except for the part. So in season 2 of Real Housewives,
I can't believe I opened this door again.
Right before the season, before a couple months before the season was set to air, the one housewife's husband killed himself because he was embroiled in some kind of scandal, like embezzling, and something terrible, and his way out was killing himself. Except the whole season arc for her was, my husband is cheating on me and is not a good husband. So they had to re-edit the whole season to take out anything disparaging about this man, which means that this woman now had no story and was just there.
Interesting. And that wasn't Kim Richards.
That was not Kim Richards. That was someone else.
Okay, so it was if you pardon me, utterly irrelevant.
I know, I can remember 7 facts about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
So yeah, I think that's two passes on this movie. Not worth your time, but that's okay. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. I apologize if you watched it already and you hated it. We will be back on January 27th, but real quick here, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/dissectingthe80s. It's at Dissect the 80s on Twitter. We love to hear from you. If you are a Patreon subscriber and you have a sweet new sticker and you want to send us a tweet and show us where you've stuck that sticker, we'll share those. That's always kind of cool. Patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to find out more about the show, and dissectingthe80s.com has all the old episodes and anything you'd ever want to know about the show. We will be back to dive into a movie that I'm a little bit...
I don't remember this one being on the schedule until I saw it in the newsletter, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, you asked for it
at some point, but I didn't know it was going to be so soon.
You were like, you really wanted to do this like a couple months ago, and I was like, it's not a really good time for it, but the 40th anniversary is right around the corner, so we could do it then, because this came out in February 1980. But this is Al Pacino, Paul Sorvino, Karen Allen in the William Friedkin movie Cruising, about
gay leather scene.
Yeah, so I'm. This is going to be a hard 70s movie for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the gay leather scene pushed well into the 80s.
Right, but I'm saying this movie came out in February 1980, so it's like, as we've said many times, the decade usually takes 2 or 3 years to get going, so this is going to be a hard 70s movie. So a little change of pace for us, but I'm curious. I like Friedkin a lot. This would be interesting to explore. But so
I'm
back
so
on
curious how
January
queer characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm honestly a little bit... I'm concerned for that reason, because we didn't mention it, but this movie was throwing around the F-bomb. I'm sure Cruising is throwing around the F-bomb.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I have been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Lano.
Until January 27th.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production. Things we're gonna cut out in editing.
So let's get into it. As we just said there, it's James. So the other reason I wanted to watch this is because
I didn't do the thing.
Very young. You didn't. You'd think that like knocking on the door of 150 episodes, we would remember the format of the show.
Yeah, I was like ready to dive into my notes, and I was like at the top. Yeah. Oh, the thing.
Anyway,
a creepy ass theme song.
Yeah, well, my thought was